We are getting our 18th MLB The Show game this year, MLB The Show 23. So today we're doing a tier list for every USA version of the cover that they've had. In the comments, give me your rankings for the covers. How are they different or the same as mine? Hopefully I'll have this linked in the description if y'all want to fill it out on your own. Maybe tweet me a picture. I think I'm gonna go in the order that they were released, starting with MLB 06 The Show. Now this is how long I've been playing MLB The Show, and for me, this is still an S tier cover. One of my favorites that they have. I love that they brought back that card art for this card in MLB The Show 22. And this David Ortiz cover for me will forever be an S tier cover. And I feel like part of the rankings are going to include who's on the cover. I feel like that does have an impact. For MLB 07 The Show, we had David Wright on the cover. This was a year after having a Red Sox on the cover, so they stayed in a big market, but I feel like people don't really remember how good David Wright actually was back then. For me, this is going to be an A or an S. Maybe I'm crazy, but for now, I think I'm putting 07 The Show in S tier. So next up, we have MLB 08 The Show with Ryan Howard on the cover, and I don't mean to go 3 for 3, but for me, that's an easy S tier. I will say I like Ryan Howard on the cover better than David Wright, and I'm thinking that I'm going to be moving this tier list around as we go on. I think I'm going to move David Wright down to A tier, but I still could even change that after the next one. Maybe it's Ryan Howard versus Dustin Pedroia. Maybe it's the white uniforms versus gray aways, but I just did not like the Pedroia one nearly as much as the Ryan Howard. Even though they're pretty similar, I feel like the Ryan Howard one just stands out and to me looks better. And then to start the 2010s, they had Joe Mauer on the cover, MLB 10 The Show. I really like the design of this one. I like the color in the background, not just the black and white. I like that they went back to that blue. And for me, I'm thinking MLB 10 The Show is going to be A tier. Right now, I'm going to have it behind David Wright's, but still a good looking cover for me. And that was a pretty good start to the 2010s. And then the next year, this was the only time they've ever done the same cover athlete, and it happened to be back-to-back years. For MLB 11 The Show, Joe Mauer was once again the cover athlete. And for me, this was one of my favorite covers yet. I think I'm going to put this in S tier between David Ortiz and Joe Mauer. I just feel like David Ortiz, especially that being the first MLB The Show game I played, was so iconic for me. I love the cover. You have that iconic looking follow through. I don't think I could put this Joe Mauer one ahead of the David Ortiz cover, but I love the baseball design. I love the color on it. I feel like for me, this is the second best one so far, having Joe Mauer on the cover for the second time. Then after that, we had MLB 12 The Show, sticking with that baseball design a little bit, switching up the color scheme. Adrian Gonzalez was on the cover for this one. And to me, this just looks like a baseball video game cover. I don't think it's super easy to tell unless you have seen him play or you were a baseball fan who this player is, but I'm going to say this is a well-designed cover for a baseball game. I think it's really clean. It looks good. I like the baseball, the red seams with the white background, and I'm going to put that in A, probably as a lower one, but I still think it's a really nice looking cover. And then MLB 13 The Show, which I love seeing this one because Andrew McCutchen is back with the Pirates for this upcoming season, and this is one of my favorite covers they've done. I feel like they did a really good job still incorporating that baseball design, getting both of the themes on there. If y'all don't remember, Andrew McCutchen was huge in the baseball world, and I feel like just kind of in the general sports world a little bit at this time too. And I'm going to say this was an S tier cover because of the design, really well made. It looks like a good baseball cover, but then having McCutchen on it when they did, I feel like was a great decision. And I'm really liking that one. I think I might put that honestly in head of the Ryan Howard one. I feel like the design was just a little bit better for MLB 11 The Show, in my opinion. Now MLB 14 The Show, Miguel Cabrera on the cover. I think he had just maybe won back-to-back MVPs. I don't know if this was the year after he hit for the Triple Crown or what, but he was just, I feel like, at the peak of his career at this time, so it was a great guy to have on the cover. One of, if not the best players in baseball at the time, at least best hitters. I think it's a well-designed cover, but at the same time, I don't think it's anything super duper special. I liked having Miggy on it, but I still think it would kind of be a low A tier for me a little bit. And then we had MLB 15 this show. If I'm not mistaken, this was the last year they started putting the number in between MLB in the show. Now it goes after, but Yasiel Puig was at the cover, and I think this was around the time where it really seemed like he was kind of going to be the next big thing in terms of Major League Baseball. I don't think it's necessarily one of the best that they've had, but I would say this is more in higher A tier for me. At the time, Puig really seemed like he was going to be the next superstar for baseball. I feel like the cover in a way encapsulated his energy, and I feel like, at least for the time, it was a really well done cover. And next was MLB The Show 16, one of the most fun years I've ever had on MLB The Show. I'm sure that's going to be part of the reason why this is the way it is, but I'm going to have right now Josh Donaldson and MLB The Show 16's cover be the top for A tier. I really love how the logo for the game looks. I like the color scheme, having that blurred background where you can still see a little bit of color, making Josh Donaldson and his uniform pop a little bit more. I just feel like this is a really well designed cover. Not necessarily the best of the best or most famous baseball player ever. I think he was a lot better back then than maybe he is now, but this is one of my favorite overall designs and color schemes. I feel like this is just, in general, a good looking baseball video game cover. And now for MLB The Show 17, having a legend for the first time ever. I think this is still the only time they've ever done it. I feel like the next time they would do this is if they got somebody like Jeter in the game. But Ken Griffey Jr., MLB The Show 17, and as of 2017, this is the best MLB The Show cover that's been made. I would put it ahead of that David Ortiz one. I think bringing back one of the most famous baseball players of all time, having that iconic follow through, having the backwards hat, seeing him making a nice play in the background, having a solid gold logo for the first time ever. I feel like everything about this cover was well made, the design, the athlete. And I don't want to necessarily call it a perfect cover. I think you can always probably improve on almost anything, but this is, in my opinion, up until this point so far, the best cover that MLB The Show's done. And next up is MLB The Show 18. It's pretty hard to follow a cover that has Griffey on it, but I think Aaron Judge was one of, if not the best cover athletes they probably could have chosen to follow Ken Griffey Jr. I think he was coming off that insane rookie season he had for the Yankees. I could be wrong on that though, but Aaron Judge, cover of MLB The Show 18. I'm going to say it's S tier, and I think I would put it in ahead of Joe Mauer's MLB 11 The Show, but behind MLB 06 The Show. Next up is MLB The Show 19, our last of the 2010s. Bryce Harper, had no idea where he was going to be. I think that's why this cover is going to be a little bit higher for me. I'm going to stick at A tier because I think having him on the cover, whether it was planned or not, the hype around his free agency signing, I think was a great thing to have and got people really interested in the cover reveal. I just think it could have been better. Looking at some of these other options they have, just him standing there holding the bat when it's Bryce Harper, the former MVP, like, I just feel like they could have done a better job designing the cover. I think the athlete was good, the timing was good, the design I just didn't like that much. I think I gotta put Miggy maybe right here, maybe move Mauer down here a little bit. I think Miggy was a little bit better than these two. And then MLB The Show 20, Javier Baez. I think at the time, great choice for the cover, everything like that. He was one of the top selling jerseys around those times and everything. But for me, I don't think I like the design that much. I feel like for me, him and Harper are kind of tied. I'm flip-flopping these a little bit. I think I'm going to stick it behind Harper, but I don't know, man. I wasn't the biggest fan for MLB The Show 19 or 20's cover. They weren't any of my favorites or anything like that. Next up is MLB The Show 21. If I'm not mistaken, this was the first year the game was on Xbox after being exclusive to PlayStation, so I feel like that timing was huge. Fernando Tatis at the time still is a big name, but at the time, one of the biggest names and faces in baseball. That iconic bat flip, kind of at the height of that let the kids play movement. I feel like the timing for Tatis was almost perfect to have him on the cover. Being the first year the game was on Xbox, I think this was a perfect cover decision, and I think it's a really well designed cover. I think I'm going to go ahead and put it between David Ortiz and Aaron Judge. This is one of my favorite covers they've ever done, and to this day, I still feel like it's a great looking cover with Fernando Tatis Jr. on the front, and I think it was a great decision for their first time being on Xbox. And next up then was MLB The Show 22. The year before that, having Tatis on the cover. First time having the game on Xbox. The Show 22. First time the game was on Nintendo Switch. Ohtani on the cover. I feel like all those things. Ohtani had just won MVP the year before, putting up historic numbers, doing things no one's ever done. I feel like the timing was great. Ohtani, one of the most popular baseball players to this day. And at the time, the cover's well designed, showing off his hitting and pitching in the back. I think it stands out with that red, also having the white logo. I probably would have tried to find a picture with him in the home uniform. I think that always looks better than having the away player, right? Dustin Pedroia, I think that cover could have been better. Having a bright white Red Sox uniform, having their logo on the front, I think they just could have done a better job designing it. And I think that could have made this cover a little bit better, but I think I'm going to sneak him in here, man, between Tatis and Aaron Judge now. I feel like it's a really well done cover. Maybe it's recency bias, but having that design, having it be on Switch, having the red, having Ohtani on it, I feel like there's just a lot of factors going into it for me that are putting it where it is. And last but not least, the brand new cover, Jazz Chisholm, MLB The Show 23. Now, just to start, I think it's a really nice looking cover. If we kind of look at the other options that we have and compare it to this one of Jazz, there's none that look like it, and I think that's a good thing. I think the covers every year should be unique. I get why they use similar styles, but I think it's a good choice to have a unique looking cover every year. I think that's going to make each version of the game stand out a little bit more. Just look how different some of these covers are year to year. So for me, I think the uniqueness is great. I like the gold in the 23 for the Show 23, and I think it's a good picture of Jazz showing off the Marlins uniform well. You can see his personality coming out. And for me, I'm thinking I'm gonna put him on the low end of S tier. I really like the design. I like the uniqueness. I'm sure it's a little bit of recency bias. I'm just excited to get a new game on my hands. And I think for me, the cover would honestly move up to around here, depending on how Jazz does this season. He doesn't have the most MLB experience under his belt. I think he might have only played 60 or 70 games last year. So if he has a nice full and successful season, I think for me, that would probably increase the ranking a little bit. But for now, I think I'm going to end him off at S tier. And the biggest part for me is how unique and vibrant and eye-catching this cover is compared to a lot of the other options we have. And this might be what it looks like if I spread it out a little bit more. In the comments, how does your tier list compare to mine? Maybe click one of these videos on the screen if you enjoyed this one. If you did enjoy this and maybe want to see more tier lists, let me know by dropping a like, subscribe for the daily uploads we have on the channel, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace out.